Hi, this is my second jazz guitar video. The first one I did was talking about the concept of learning the melody, a chord melody arrangement, and then using that as your basis for exploring what to do. So I'll use all the things you are. Again, maybe I can't remember whether I did last time or not. So I go like this. And I would do my soloing exactly right physically in that same spot. So I would play the chord melody and I just physically stay in exactly the same spot. Now the next process I used as I was learning was to go chord to chord. It's like the first one, but instead of playing the chord where I needed to play it in the chord melody arrangement, I play it somewhere else. So like I might play my F minor here. And my B flat minor. Then my E flat 7th. And then my A flat 7th, major 7th. Now I always did this out of time, freely. I even at one point would take a good chunk of time and just play F minor. For instance, I'd go like this. I'd explore all the possible F minor 7th chords and play around it with scales that I would discover just by playing the chord and then playing notes at it. And that really worked quite well. One of my first heroes was John McLaughlin, so I used to take, as fast as possible. And work my way up the neck and try and play like that. I never did get it, but it was good training to try and play fast. Now, that's still kind of right-brained, exploratory, just play some notes that fit with the chord that you've listened to. The next step is to actually play a scale and an arpeggio for each chord. So you can play your F minor here and your B flat. Learn the scale and the arpeggio for each chord as you move through the chord progression. That's great training, and that's really necessary to do that. And I did that for a long time. I would play the chord, play the arpeggio, play the scale, play, out of time, freely, and then I'd start playing in my head. I didn't have iReal Pro at the time. I didn't have background tracks or anything like that, but then that worked quite nicely. Now, the next approach that I used was probably backwards. I probably should have started with this one. I think people who study with serious teachers get into this idea earlier. And that's using key centers within the song to find one scale that will contain the whole chord progression. For instance, in All the Things You Are, the final destination of that chord progression, it's 6, 2, 5, 1, 4. All of those chords are contained in an A flat major scale. So you can park yourself in A flat major and play all of them. I'll use the track for this one just to show you what happens. So I'm in A flat major scale position, but I'm going to play all the chords. C. Now I'm in E flat. So you see, I'm not moving around as much. The other way, the chord-to-chord method, for instance, not the melody method, but the chord-to-chord method be like this. So that's sort of going through the chord progression, moving chord to chord without really paying attention to diatonic. The diatonic way of doing it in one scale. So I think when you really get good at it, you don't think about what to do. You change. Sometimes you'll stay in a scale position, play all the chords. Sometimes you'll move around. Sometimes you'll stay for a while, move up to get into another position and play in that scale. The language metaphor is so strong. Victor Wooten's book is great. The Music Lesson. He talks about learning. We should learn to play music by jamming with better players, just like we learn to speak our language. We jam with better players, our parents. And when you learn a language at a fluent level, you don't think about what to do. But when you're learning a new language, you really have to think about what to do, because you can't, it's not natural. That's why learning a new language later in life is so hard. And I think learning to play jazz is kind of like that. It's like learning a new way of thinking, a new way of playing the right notes. Yeah, there you go. So, to recap, melody, and noodle around. Chord to chord, noodle around. Chord to chord, actually paying attention to the scales and the arpeggios. Move around, whatever. Then the other way is diatonic. Break the tune into diatonic chord progressions, which most standards have them. Oddly enough, All of Me isn't diatonic. There's a couple spots in it, but when you're in C, then you go to E, 7th, they're totally different scales. So you can't park and play. You can't park and play in All of Me. But you can in All the Things You Are, and Autumn Leaves. And in sections of a lot of jazz standards, the 2-5-1 thing is common. So the 2-5-1, you can park in one scale. So there you go. Oh, yeah, there's millions of jazz guitar videos out there. I would like you guys to tell me what you want to hear about, because you can Google anything and get any information. Matt Warnock's site is amazing. But if you have a specific question about a specific thing you might want me to talk about, please let me know either on the Facebook feed or on the comments of the video. Because I don't want to reinvent the wheel, because there's a lot of good stuff out there. But if you have a thing you want to talk about, maybe I'll try and do it. See what I can do. Give me ideas. Thanks. Okay, now I'm going to put this at a reasonable tempo. Whoops.